What's up guys, my name is Ricardo, Neiva, otherwise known as Cine Rick, and today we're going to be reviewing the photos that I took when I walked to Pretoria. Let's hit the intro. Cool, so we're going to be talking about the photos that I took, why I took them. We're going to look at the original and the edited version, and I'm going to explain why I chose that sort of editing style. I thought this would be a cool, let's review some photos. Artistic review. Cool, so as we're looking through these photos, I've done some edits, I've done one edit, and some I've done like two edits for it. A black and white and a normal colored version of it. So please let me know which one you prefer, which one you like the most, and do it by like, in the comments going like, photo A, photo B, and we'll see which one wins. Yeah. Cool, so the first photo that I took of the day is this one right here. Basically, as you walk into Rosebank, there's this really cool corner with this restaurant called the Social Bar and Lounge, and it's got this really nice wooden aesthetic to it, and I love the orangey brownish tones to it. And because it was just as the sun was rising, it just did the things, and I was like, I want to capture some sort of like magical dawn-ish vibes. So I took the photo, and basically when I went into post-production, I pumped out a lot more red and orange tones into the picture. I desaturated the images quite a bit just because dusk and dawn is a little bit more gray in tone. So just so that the other colors besides the orange were a little bit more muted, and the orange became a much more pumpy color. That's what I did with this photo. I really liked it. I love the corner aesthetic to it, and I just love how you have just a little bit of cars, and it just shows like the early bird gets the worm kind of vibe. People are getting up and going, and I thought I captured that quite well. I really like this picture. Cool. The next photo we took, I was just about to reach Rosebank. As you're going towards Starbucks, there's a one-way road, and I saw this building, and I loved, literally, I loved the arch for the building's entrance, and that's the reason why I took this photo. The original kind was a little bit darker, a little bit more muted. I just brought up the colors, brought up the vibrance, just because I really liked the punch to the building and the shape. I took this building simply for shape, and this is why I also did a black and white edit on this. Cool! This is my all-time favorite black and white photo that I've done. I literally took this photo, and as I took it, I knew this was going into black and white. I didn't even bother doing a color edit to this. Basically, as I was walking through the Rosebank How Train, they have this really cool shaped roofs that they've designed. And I looked up and I saw the lines leading in, and I saw the sky was clear, which gave this really nice blue, and the color originally was a little bit of a yellowish cream. And I loved the creamish texture, and I loved how the light was starting to create this really cool definition on the roof shape. So I made this black and white. I love it. It feels very abstract, and it's just a cool photo in my opinion. Cool. As you're walking down Rosebank, you'll see this really cool Transformers looking robot building. That's how I describe this building, because it's just made out of glass, and it's got this bulky sort of like top of the Transformers look to it. And when you look at it from the side, it sort of has this really cool perspective that it like one is smaller than the other. I loved it. I loved the sun really, again, pumping these warm tones. I've really loved warm tones when taking these photos and contrasting it with the very clear blue sky, because there was very, 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 very little clouds. And by very, very little clouds, I mean there was no clouds whatsoever. And so I really liked the warm tone of the sun and contrasting that to the clear blue sky, because usually you use the clouds to create definition and add texture to the sky, but the warmth of the sun played with the orange and teal look, and I think that in itself created a really nice texture and shape. And the glass reflections just looked stunning, because they gave this warped sense of reality, which I love, because urban life is a warped sense of reality in a sense, but it's also a very normal sort of reality, because yeah, it's got the office life, and then you've got urbanization, which has got so many cultures, and it's such a weird sense of reality. I also did a black and white version just because I decided to see how it looked in black and white. I took a picture of a lock. That was it. It was a lock. The sun was pretty. It had great bokeh. I literally just took this photo because it looked pretty. Cool, so this is another photo I took in Rosebank, and the reason why most of these photos are being taken in Rosebank is because if you look at the vlog, which you will see right here, this little section, I forced myself to get the camera out and take photos, because it is a creative muscle. You gotta get it going. You gotta take some photos, snap some bad pics, and then it's gonna like warm up. It's gonna be like, oh yes, fusion, mega photos. So as I was walking, I originally took this photo with a leading line, but I didn't like it, and I decided to push in closer and really get the building and its sense of awe. It's a construction of something out of this world because it's a relatively tall skyscraper or an apartment block. I don't know exactly what was being constructed, but it's soaring into the sky. It's this man-made sort of creation, and I wanted to really put the emphasis in this power of its rising into the heavens. So I went a little bit lower, got the photo, and this is what I came up with. So yeah, I again played with the orange and teal sort of aspect just because the sun, the warmthness of golden hour versus the blue sky just created a beautiful contrast in itself through color. So in my journey to Pretoria, I walked up a bridge that I didn't know if I was allowed to walk up. And it was one of my best decisions in life to maybe be illegal or maybe not. And that's because as I was walking up this bridge, I saw this amazing skyline. Now, Joburg skyline isn't the most impressive. It's not like New York skyline, but it made you have a sense of awe in how vast the world is. Especially when you're walking these distances, you really start to realize how far everything is and how, due to like modern technology, everything feels so close. So when I got up to this bridge and I took this photo of the skyline, that was what I was trying to capture. I was trying to capture the awe of Joburg, and you can see because Sandton's buildings are kind of the main point and they're the high rise because Sandton is that like metropolitan, new age, New York vibes coming out of it, and then I let the rest of the skyline fade into the background, and I really like this photo. Cool. This is again on the bridge. I saw a man walking, and I like the idea of a man walking into the skyline, and he was very chilled. I had a conversation with him. He was like, yeah, you can grab a picture of me walking. So I took this picture as he was walking towards work, and I just thought it was really cool because the skyline's in the background. He's kind of closer towards camera, and it's again gives that idea of him walking towards the future, which is kind of the idea I wanted to capture here. I wanted to show the vastness of the world, and I wanted to show that everything is currently building and developing, and we're all moving forwards. And also walking picture, walking to Pretoria, gang, walk gang. What? Cool. So obviously I was on a bridge, and when you're on a bridge you become a standard bridge photographer, and I took the photo of the bridge. I took the photo and I really wanted to create this 3D effect. I wanted to lead the audience into the bridge. So the way I did it is by using composition as a fundamental tool for that. And that's because we're using leading lines, which we'll discuss on a Let's Talk About It. So be ready for that. And the leading line leads us to the bridge, which towers above the frame and consumes the majority of the frame. So the leading line leads us to the major point of the picture, and because of the size of the bridge and the vastness of it consuming inside the frame, we're able to see this bridge and be like, oh, le bridge. These are one of my favorite photos ever, and it's just because it's nothing fancy, it's nothing super artistic, but I was walking and these boys were talking to me about football because they saw me with the camera taking photos and they asked for a photo. And I obviously started having a conversation with them. And oh my God, these boys were just cool. They were just talking about football and how they want to play football after this. And they just take this bridge to go down to the park that's a little bit down the road. And they were just going to go jam some football. And it just shows this youth because they were all like, let's get some photos. And it reminded me of back of my angsty teenager days where I was like, and doing the bunny ears and stuff like that. And it was just this pure moment of joy where they're just having fun and taking a photo for fun. And I love that I captured this. The edit is mostly just to give this warm, rich tone of it. I meant a little bit moody again because I'm a big moody fan. But I also brought in the warmth that I love of Golden Hour because it's like, this is the youth. They are moving forward. And I'm in love with this photo. It's just a great photo for me. Back on the bridge scene again because I again got really distracted here. This was a completely new angle for me, and that's again, I said this in the vlog, the beauty of walking is that you're able to discover places. You go and find new views and perspectives on photographs. And when I was there, as I was walking towards the end of the bridge and I was about to descend, I turned back and I saw the bridge and I saw the skyline in the background, and I just love the idea of the bridge being a connection point. So I got the bridge on the one side, I got the skyline on the other side, and I had the leading line of the road that sort of symbolized for me, essentially, this sort of journey across these transitional periods. And that's why I caught this photo. I again went for a very moody sort of tone, but I love the idea and the symbolism that I was playing with this in the composition. Now, I took this photo for two reasons. One, I've always wanted to take a bridge photo, and I really want to take a bridge photo at night, and I'm going to do that one day as soon as the curfew of lockdown isn't a thing. but I love the symmetry of the leading line of the two lanes, the right lane and the left lane. And I love the ideas of the cars driving, and it's just movement, and I think movement is beautiful. I love the idea of constantly going forward in life. So I usually try to capture that in some sort of way, some sort of symbolic movement, whether it be past to future to past to present, present to future, point A to B, dusk till dawn, any sort of idea like that. I like to capture that sort of idea of movement, and that's why I took this photo. And I love the symmetry. I love the contrast of moving towards and moving against. So yeah, that's why I took this photo. I did this in black and white. Let me know which one you think is better. And then I took a landscape. I'm not the biggest fan of doing landscapes. I like more shooting landscapes in terms of film and video. But I took a landscape just because I wanted to show the vastness again of the road and really emphasize the distance that was being covered. And that's why I took this photo. I did an orange and teal, and then I don't have a polarizer, but I really like the gradient blue, so I went into post-processing in Lightroom and I threw a gradient in there, and then I just turned up the color temperature and I brought down the exposure so that it faded in and created this idea of a polarizer, which is a very neat aesthetic that I think is pretty cool. So yeah. Those are the photos that I took. Well, not all of them, just some of them, because there was quite a bit, but these are my favorite photos. Let me know what you think of these photos. Reminder to let us know which one was your favorite. Was it A or B? And yes, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You know, all the funky, funny stuff that we ask you to do here on the YouTubes. And while you're at it, why don't you check our social media? We have Cine Rick Instagram, TikTok, Facebook page, and Twitter. So yeah, do the things, and I shall see you on the next one. I love you all. Goodbye.